Hello, Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we will understand about the physiology of oxytocin, prolactin for lactation of milk. So, in the previous video, we have discussed about the anatomy of the mammary gland and the physiology of the mammary gland part. In this video, we will understand about the physiology of oxytocin, prolactin for lactation of milk. So, in this is a positive, negative feedback. Oxytocin up after dopamine decrease or dopamine down and prolactin up regulation. And number three is the prolactin up regulation to gonadotrophin down and stop ovulation and menstrual cycle. So in this video, we will discuss about the positive and negative feedback mechanism during the lactation of milk, and the stimulus from the suckling travel from breast and in this way the through the spinal cord to the hypothalamus. So in this way the whole physiology is very complex, so I will try to understand very easy. Let's understand about that. Here is the female basically contain a mammary gland. So the whenever the stimulation of the mammary gland through the baby, so in this the number one is the stimulus from suckling travel from breast through the spinal cord to the hypothalamus. In this way, the spinal cord will receive the signal from the sensory neuron. The sensory neurons will transmit the signal from the mammary gland to the spinal cord, and for understand the simply the efferent neuron, efferent neuron. This efferent neuron will not involve the afferent neuron, but the hormone play important role as a response. So here is from breast, the sensory neurons come from the breast toward the spinal cord, and the spinal cord will transmit the signal through the second order neuron, you can say, or the secondary neuron. After the synapse will, this is the synapse mean the talking two neuron to each other to stimulate or inhibit the response. So in this way, different neurons will, some neuron will inhibit the activity of the hypothalamus, some neuron will stimulate the activity of the hypothalamus. So in this way, here is the pituitary gland and hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus is the part of brain. So you can say that hypothalamus is the brain. This is the pituitary gland, which that is a gland, produce the hormone, different type of hormone, and this is the master gland. This master gland contain a three lobe, but in this video we will understand two lobe, not understand median lobe. These two lobes contain a adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Anterior pituitary gland is known as the adenohypophysis, while the posterior is known as the neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis contain a blood supply, which that is very important for the stimulation of the adenohypophysis containing cells, and further on the other hand the directly releasing of the neurotransmitter or some other hormone directly from neuron to the blood to travel where the need. So here is the adenohypophysis contain a gonadotrophs. On the other hand, the prolactin releasing lactotrophs. Prolactin releasing lactotroph is very important for releasing of the prolactin. Prolactin is very important for the lactation of milk and further on the production of milk. So let's understand about more and more easy to understand. So let's, here is you can see this is the arcuate nucleus. This arcuate nucleus is very important, and in this way the spinal cord whenever after the synapse to transmit the signal as an inhibitory neuron will inhibit the arcuate nucleus. In this way, after the inhibition of the arcuate nucleus is important for the releasing of the dopamine. Whenever the dopamine will inhibit and not release due to the stimulus from breast as a sensory neuron, in this way inhibition of the arcuate nucleus will not release the dopamine. Remember first, this is the adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adeno means the anterior and neurohypophysis means the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. This is the inhibitory behavior of the secondary neuron, or basically the responsive neuron. And in this way, the on the other hand, the number two is the arcuate nucleus. So this arcuate nucleus, basically neuron from the spinal cord to inhibit dopamine. In this, the arcuate nucleus will inhibit as a negative feedback, and the dopamine will decrease. So release of the dopamine will inhibit from the arcuate nucleus, and dopamine decrease level remove the inhibition that dopamine normally produce on lactotrophs uh, in the anterior pituitary. So in this way, basically is the inhibition that dopamine normally produces on the lactotrophs in the anterior pituitary gland. So leading to prolactin release. So in this way, the prolactin will increase due to the dopamine decrease, and prolactin stimulate the milk production in breast. So the milk will produce from the breast due to the prolactin, not dopamine. So dopamine should be decreased for the production of prolactin and oxytocin. Here is the another nuclei is known as a supraoptic nuclei. The supraoptic nuclei is very important. Basically, it will stimulate the production of oxytocin, and whenever it will be a positive feedback, in this whenever the stimulus from suckling will lead to positive feedback to increase the more and more oxytocin. The function of the oxytocin is the myoepithelial cell, and the breast basically gland will be relaxed to stimulate and produce milk. Supraoptic nuclei is responsible for the production of oxytocin directly pour into the blood, and in this way this basically move into the blood and directly target to the mammary gland. Let's understand about the supraoptic nuclei as the third step. Neuron from spinal cord also stimulate the production of oxytocin from the paraventricular nucleus. So the paraventricular nucleus is the another paraventricular nucleus we will understand here is I will draw here. So the paraventricular nuclei is and supraoptic nuclei, both nuclei is important, we will understand further. So the supraoptic nuclei and the here is the paraoptic nuclei area, paraoptic area, and here is a paraventricular nucleus. This paraventricular nucleus and supraoptic nuclei basically oxytocin release in posterior pituitary and into the systemic blood, where it then make it way to the breast and myoepithelial cell to relax to produce more milk. And important thing you should need to understand the basically is the positive feedback toward the paraventricular nuclei. This paraventricular nuclei is important for the important for the production of the oxytocin, and in this way it is also important for the positive feedback. A preoptic nuclei is also present in the hypothalamus. So in this way, the paraventricular nucleus and supraoptic nucleus whenever will be stimulate to release the neurotransmitter oxytocin. So anyhow, oxytocin basically important for the relaxation of the mammary gland, and the on the other hand the blood vessel will move more blood toward the mammary gland. This is the preoptic area of the hypothalamus. So remember, this is the hypothalamus below the thalamus. Basically, it is also the part of the brain, but the function is very crucial. So this preoptic area basically remember the preoptic area important for the releasing of the basically it will inhibit preoptic area will inhibit. So whenever it will be not inhibit, it will stimulate the gonadotrophs. So whenever it will be inhibited due to the stimulus from suckling, travel from the breast through the spinal cord to the hypothalamus will inhibit this preoptic area. When preoptic area will inhibit, will lead to gonadotrophs will be inhibit, will not produce the gonadotropin releasing hormone. So this is the prolactin will increase due to the prolactotrophs. So the prolactin releasing the lactotrophs, sorry. This is the lactotrophs will stimulate, while the due to the inhibition of the preoptic area will lead to prolactin increase, while the gonadotropin releasing hormone will decrease due to the preoptic area will inhibit as a negative feedback. If the preoptic area will increase, stimulation lead to increase the gonadotropin releasing hormone. In this way, the prolactin and oxytocin basically stimulate the mammary gland. So I hope you make sense about that. In this, the neurons from the spinal cord inhibit neurons in the arcuate nucleus and preoptic area of the hypothalamus. So arcuate nucleus and the preoptic area of the hypothalamus causing a fall gonadotropin releasing hormone production, as well as the dopamine from the arcuate nucleus will lead to reduce the gonadotrophs stimulation to inhibit the ovulation cycle. In this way, the pregnancy will not possible, while the lactation of milk will be possible due to the positive and negative feedback mixture. Thanks for watching.